tell me all about it.
Yeah, yep. So we're here in just north of Lincoln, just at Carry On Camp in 2023, and here is kind of like in the woodland. We've got our bushcraft area where we've got various things going on. So we have over there we have Survival Steve, who does. He's great on prepping. He's got a fantastic bug out vehicle.
Yeah.
So he does a good talk on what he's kind of involved with. We also have Holly over there, who's our forager. She does great work with foraging and kind of woodland cooking. Yeah. So anyone that's been coming along, getting involved with that, gets a nice kind of woodland meal at the end of it as well. And we also have in those tents just through the trees. We have some like wood turning and wood carving. Yeah. But rather than on a sort of like electrical wooden lathe, what they've got is they've got some kind of traditional mechanical like foot turning lathes, which are like fantastic to see. Fabulous. And we've got Carmela's been doing some like cranial knot work out of nettles and things like that, just to like demonstrate the variety of different skills you can do. And then here, this is kind of my kind of side of the bushcraft area. So that's the hut that the team of us built over the course of 2 weeks. A good 8 or 9 people came together and we built that. And we have a nice notice board of all the pictures of the whole process. You can see from start to finish. And we've got, so on this sort of area, I do a bit about fire making. So we have a nice classroom area here. Again, even the benches we put together ourselves. It's one of those things that everything that's been done here is just with, if you compare the site to how it was when we first landed to now, you'll see how much work everyone that's contributed. They've done fantastic work in what they've done. Yeah. And so when I talk about, for example, the fires, I'll show people various ways to make fire, talk about various different types of fire and things like that. Even things like the Swedish fire log, which people might not always be familiar with, because different types of fire have different uses. So if you look at the Swedish fire log, for example, if you were in particularly boggy ground, and even if you just wanted to cook up some soup or to have a brew, if you're on boggy ground, getting a fire is going to be pretty difficult. But if with a log like that, a couple of ways you can do it. But let's say you can either split it into quarters and take the top three inches out and sort of bind it back together, or you could even just chisel it out with a knife, I guess. But the main point of this is where you'll have your tinder. You'll get your fire going inside here, and it'll slowly burn down through the centre. And it's perfect for putting a pan or a mess tin on. But the good thing about this, on your boggy ground, and you've got your raised fire above, so even if all you want is a brew on the move. And you've got things like your top-down fire. So your traditional kind of fire that you might have in your fire pit, if you were to instead build on a platform like this, this is a bit smaller for display purposes, but I've had these built 3-4 times as big. And what you'll do is you'll have your fire on the top, get your fire going, and it'll actually slowly burn down through. It kind of slowly collapses in on itself, and it's kind of like a self-feeding fire. And the benefit of this is particularly in cold climates, things like that, where heat conservation is important. I've been in various situations where I've had some very cold nights, and I would have appreciated an all-night fire before I kind of found out about this. But since then, a little bit more time and effort to kind of get the fire built. But once you've actually got it built, you can go to bed, and if you build one of these big enough and well enough, I've seen them burn continuously for 8 hours plus without having to add anything to it. So that could, especially in a cold climate, could save your life really. Yeah. And also in terms of when your fire going as well, I've learned the hard way, it's very, very frustrating when you run out of firewood and you go forage for some more, you come back and your fire's gone out, your fire's died. So I always recommend people to collect all your wood in the beginning, and grade your wood is also kind of important as well.
Yeah.
As you can see here, I've graded the wood, and when I usually get my fire going, I'll start with even things like your sphagnum moss and silver birch bark is great for getting your fire going. Silver birch bark, actually, just while I'm on the topic of it, is absolutely fantastic for getting your fire going. You can also kind of cook it up in a pan in a tin, and get kind of like a natural pitch out of it, which is great, kind of natural adhesive, and used for waterproofing, like the pioneers in America back in the early days. Granted, the silver birch trees over there are a lot bigger than what I might find over here, but they would strip the whole bark and they'd actually fold it up and could like make canoes out of the silver birch bark, and then using pitch and a few other things, they could actually patch it up and kind of waterproof the canoes. So it's fantastic stuff. But yeah, so I'll do a little bit about I demonstrate the fires, talk about different types of fires you can make, also shelters as well. And now in a survival situation, not always going to have a couple of weeks and a team of people to build something like this.
Yeah.
But even if you were to build something like a simple lean-to, like I'll walk up here, especially if you're in a survival situation and you might only have half an hour to put together a shelter. Even something like this, where if you don't have many tools, you can just find dead wood lying around. Simple sort of like A-frame structure that we've built, and a tarp, and even something like that could keep the elements off. But in terms of when you are building a shelter, there's a couple of kind of key considerations. One of the first things is make it easy for yourself. So if there's a natural cave, if there's a natural hollow or something that you kind of like is already partially built and kind of reduce that, I'd always say utilize what's around you. But in terms of basic kind of principles for building a shelter, you can build a kind of like an A-frame, or even look for like a fallen tree where you can like lay your stuff, let's say, across. But let's just say for waterproofing, if you don't have a tarp or anything like that, whether you use sphagnum moss or pine boughs that you've gathered, things like that, for your waterproofing layer, when you're putting that on, it's very important, just like tiles on a roof, you always start from the bottom and kind of build up, and the water will naturally run off. If you just kind of throw things on and start from the top down, they'll have natural channels where water's just going to seep straight in. And also, depending on whatever type of shelter you build, you want to be off the ground, because you actually lose heat twice as fast through the ground as you do through the air. So whether you use, I often use pine boughs that I've trimmed, and sort of like layer them up, put like a tarp on top of that, or like a roll mat. But you can use a variety of things, but whatever you do use, it's very important to be off the ground. So in terms of like the survival stuff, as part of like bushcraft and part of carry on camping, what I'll do for my classes, we'll talk about kind of like the process, how we all built the Viking hut, how we can build things like this. And you can see we've got some wood collected to the side here that I've already prepared. So one of the things as well is to, as it's a family friendly event, we have kids here, and it's always good to kind of encourage that love of nature and to get them to do these skills. So one of the things that Carry On Camping is doing as well is having interactive sessions where if kids want to come and have a go, whether they build like a simple structure like that, we have the tools out there ready for them. So yeah, it's just one of the many things we like to kind of like to do, and to contribute and to give these sort of skills back to people.